Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth.
And danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings.
Sunward I've climbed, and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds.
And done 100 things you have not dreamed of.
These are the voyages of the starship Erebus. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Authorization.
All right. And speaking of destruct sequences, good night, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, everyone, to the much anticipated, not long overdue, because we've been heavily and highly consistent. And I'm very proud of this group for, you never know with every 2-week, a bi-monthly game, whether or not folks are going to show up. And if you miss one session, it's a month before you play. But everyone has been super on board, very responsive, and they've kept the hype going. And I want to just compliment you guys on that, because I'm having an absolute riot with this one. After Star Trek Valhalla and Star Trek the Boudica, it was rough. It was rough because I thought maybe I'd burned out on Star Trek, but we're back and we're having an absolute blast. At least I am. That's really all that matters, because the game master is, well, the only one that matters. But no, I'm just kidding. You guys are great. You are the only one that matters. Because without you, I can't play. Anyway, all right, I'm rambling at this point, but I'm fighting a little bit of a cold still, getting over it. If my voice gets a little crackly here, I apologize, but I wasn't going to cancel because fuck that shit. All right, but we're going to go around the table. We're going to have everyone introduce themselves, remind us who they're playing, and then we have a session intro from none other than Schmandy. He is a man with many talents, and we're going to find out tonight if one of those is opening logs. But without further ado, let's go around the table. We're going to go Matthew, Aaron, Drew, Schmandy, and C4A. Matthew, take it away.
All right, hello everyone, my name is Matthew. I play the Andorian/Enar science officer, Chathane, who is blind, telepathic, and a civilian, not a member of Starfleet.
Oh, it's concise and very, how do I follow that? Just by saying this, hey guys, I'm Aaron. I am playing Captain Ezra Shruth, also an Andorian, much older than Shas, old and tired. Not really though. But I'm just super excited to be back, and yeah, can't wait.
Chewbacca.
Hi, I'm Drew. I am playing Lieutenant Commander Flitz, the android chief engineer.
Hi guys, I'm Schmandy. I am playing Lieutenant Phelan, a Klingon who has defected from the Empire and is now the chief security officer aboard the Erebus.
Hello, I am C4A, and I am playing Lieutenant Commander Lisbeth Stern, a human CEO. She came from a frontier colony where they primarily spoke German. Questionable accent, ahoy.
Das ist gut, ja.
Sehr gut, ja.
Sehr gut. Oh mein Gott.
Sehr gut, wir spielen.
Ja, verstanden. Woo! Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. All right, that's good. Anyway, we're going to stop with that shenanigans. And of course, I am DerWolf, also German-ish in the name of my name, but me, I'm just straight American. Just a regular old American melting pot. That is what it is. But I am playing everyone else, all of the other NPCs, the good, the bad, and the weird, as it were. So without further ado, Schmandy, please take it away. Give us our session intro as I get some emotional atmosphere sea music playing for you.
Okay. Officer's log, stardate 47858.43. The Erebus has set course for a new system, investigating strange signals coming from a nearby planet. It is a Class M planet, meaning it is likely habitable as a potential colony or base of operations. However, the world is surrounded by some sort of radiation field, likely from some past catastrophe. In addition, the strange signal the ship intercepted was identified as a song, specifically an old human love song. While I personally found the song more annoying than stirring, First Officer Ulrich has been humming it and sneaking the lyrics into his conversations, likely as a way to win his wager that he will make me laugh. Ulrich does not realize that our wager is one that I will win, regardless of the outcome. If he fails to make me laugh, then I of course get the honor and bragging rights of having bested him in a test of wills. If, on the other hand, I do laugh at him, then the month of extra PT will only serve to make me even more of a physical specimen for my wife to enjoy when I return. Overall, spirits aboard the Erebus are for the moment quite high, yet I find myself discontented. After our encounter with a psychic entity that threatened to make the crew tear each other apart, I abused one of the gymnasium's punching bags so badly that I had to use the replicator to replace it. We were faced with an existential threat, and rather than eliminate it, the captain chose to appeal to the higher ideals of the Federation, a show of faith which risked our lives in the process. While he was successful, I feel he made the situation more complicated than it really was. Were I still with the Klingon Empire, we would have simply destroyed the threat with overwhelming force and been done with it. In times like this, I must remind myself that I am not with the Empire any longer. And perhaps the Federation's faith in the greater good is what drove them to victory against the Empire so often. Still, I cannot help but feel somewhat resentful, as if my life were being gambled with by the captain and his greater good. I wonder what will happen on the day he takes that gamble and loses. I do not fear death, but I would prefer to fall to a worthy foe over dying from a roll of the dice. When venting my frustrations, I relayed a story to Lieutenant Jenkins about a hunter in the dark woods. The rest of the crew seems to think we are on a grand adventure, peaceful explorers who never question why the Federation sent a warship on a scientific expedition. I believe that Starfleet Command has reached the same conclusion as I. We are now hunters in the dark woods, and behind every bush there may be a beast waiting to tear us to pieces. And we will only emerge from these woods alive if we have the nerve to fire our weapons before the beasts pounce on us.
Log. You may have 2 momentum for that very, very, very compelling and very good opening log, Schmandy. And so we have proven that he is a man of many talents. One of them, opening logs. Well done, sir. Well, bloody well done. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Oh.
Sorry. Voice a little sore. All right. So we open our first scene with the music of this emotional atmosphere A, or C, actually, fading out. And we see, during this opening log, we see the Erebus at warp, those classic white streaks of light as it's traveling at high speeds towards its destination. Stars, just these beams of lights around it that we see from time to time in the show. And we zoom down over the backside of it. We see the nacelles glowing brightly, that beautiful blue glow. We travel down over, sort of up to the saucer section, where we pivot around and we see the numbers. We see the numbers, the designation NCC 77227-A. And as we pivot up along that metal, that sort of light gray metallic hull, you see all the different plates. We see the viewport of the bridge, this wide sort of screen, and we zoom in through that to the bridge itself, where we see the bridge crew not lazing about, but mingling about, all sort of centered around. The ship is on some sort of autopilot at this point. You see the pilot of the vessel. We see the pilot of the vessel. We see one of the security officers. We see a science officer. We see a bunch of folks standing around the captain's chair and the first officer's chair. And we hear what sounds like the tail end of a joke. We see all of them standing around. There is this aroma inside of the bridge of this sort of vanilla coffee kind of scent. And we see that the first officer has a rather large French press, about halfway empty. The plunger has already been pressed down, and we see that it's got about maybe about a third left of coffee in there. You can see the grounds at the bottom. And he has a cup of coffee, slightly steaming. A couple of the other bridge crew have the coffee. And he leans back And then I says to the Cardassian, is that a phaser in your pocket? Or you just happen to see me? And everyone bursts into laughter, just loses their mind. Everyone's laughing. They're having a great time. And it is at this moment, Captain, you are going to enter onto the bridge from either your ready room or the turbo lift. Your choice.
Turbo lift.
Turbo lift. You see the doors open. You step in. You hear just gregarious laughter. You see the first officer sitting in his chair, just slapping his knee, having a great time. And then one of the junior officers says, "Captain on deck!" They all snap to attention. One of them almost drops their coffee. You hear one of them go, "Oh, shit!" And they burn themselves slightly. First officer looks around and says, "Morning, sir. Care for a cup of joe?"
Commander Ulrich, no, thank you. I just had one.
Very good. It is freshly brewed, though, sir. I brought some actual beans from back home. You know, the replicator stuff is fine, but just something to be said for making it yourself. A little hot water, pouring it over, pressing it down. It's an experience. You sure? Can't get you one? I've got plenty.
I don't drink coffee.
Good.
There seems to be this misconception about Starfleet captains that they're addicted to coffee. I, myself, prefer a nice Vulcan mint tea.
I have some of that, too. Fresh.
Are you just going to pour me coffee and tell me that it's Vulcan mint tea?
Maybe. A big grin on his face.
Well, you know what? We're out here. Why not try a new experience?
Slowly lifting. Slowly pouring. Just like
Flitz looks up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Flitz looks up from the engineering console at the captain. He even made me one.
Pours it halfway. Thanks. There's a third of a cup, like 2/3 of a cup, and hands it to you. Cream, Captain?
No, thank you.
Better with cream. Just a dollop.
All
He
right,
won't take
Commander.
no for an
All
answer,
right.
Captain.
All right.
It's a little, the little metal cream things, takes it, just pours it, just does a dollop, then another dollop, sets it down. Now you're a real Starfleet captain, sir. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Commander. I'm glad that your arbitration of my ascension has finally concluded. Now, if you don't mind,
Yeah. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, of course.
I would like a status report, please.
Aye, sir. Status report.
Yeah.
All crew members
Ow.
to your stations.
It's hot.
Hot, sir. Yeah, it's hot. Just blow on it.
Do you always drink? Is it always this hot?
Yeah, always.
And you
Gotta
drink
be.
it just like this?
Yeah, absolutely.
You realize I'm Andorian?
Sure.
Okay.
I
You also
believe
know
there
there's
is a iced coffee that humans also participate
You
in.
get that iced coffee crap right out of here, Flitz. All right, you get it right out of here. All right.
I don't have any.
No.
Commander Flitz, you are on
Right out.
fast track to the chair to my right.
Hurts me, sir. Hurts me. But I accept it. I'll be better.
It's actually quite good, Commander.
I know. So status report. So we get a quick update. You guys are at this point several hours from your destination. This Class M planet that seems to have had some sort of catastrophe that has surrounded the planet in a very dense radiation field of some sort. You're not sure if it's a cloud or simply just ambient radiation, if it's visible, invisible, but it looks like something terrible may have happened at some point to this planet, right? But you get this status update. Ships operating nominally, a couple of odds and ends here and there. I mean, things break sometimes, but everything's very fixable. And I'd like to now pivot, if I may, after that, I'd like to pivot down to our garden, which we established we had some sort of garden, hydroponics bay,
It's an arboretum.
an arboretum, right? Where people can go and relax. There's maybe, I don't know, little fountains and things. Just makes you feel good, right? And I'd like to see a certain non-Starfleet personnel there. Because I feel like, based on what you described last time being in the Arboretum, you might spend time there from time to time. And if you're not, well, I guess you are now. So there it is. I'm gonna force my hand as game master. this is where you're at. And you mentioned last time that you were doing something. You remember what that something was?
Yes, I was using the Andorian razor flute to play a song from the character's childhood, from Shasta's childhood.
I'd like to know, is he still playing songs from his childhood, or has he changed to a different tune?
He has actually changed to a different tune, and this time, as he is in the Arboretum, he's playing a song that is immensely elegiac in its sound, but also frustrating because it weaves through a variety of different harmonies and tunes and progressions of chords, but every time it seems to be coming to some kind of conclusion or it works itself up to some point, it betrays that culmination. It always defies or denies any kind of conclusion or completion to the various different tunes that it weaves through this complex harmony.
Like that. Let's say you're just about to, this sort of like this, there's this lull, then it's starting to rise. And you notice your psychic ability that you're no longer alone. And you recognize this presence, this sort of precognition presence, as one of the engineering officers, a Lieutenant Bronson. And you were so focused on your music that maybe it even surprises you, Joss, that you didn't recognize that she was there sooner. And it causes you in this moment to miss one note. Just one. It's not off. She probably doesn't even notice it. You do. But she hears you stop, and she very quietly says, forgive me, I didn't mean to. I didn't expect anyone to be in here. I heard your music. I just wanted to. Just thought it was very nice. Wanted to listen.
He turns to her and I guess stares at her blankly, shakes his head and shrugs. No, it's perfectly all right. I wouldn't come to a public place if I minded being, well, a performer for an audience.
But I ask you what it was called? That song. It felt. That is to say, it sounded almost a little sad.
Oh, it's an elegy to Uzaiveth, who is, I suppose you could say, God for the Andorians. In our mythology, this divinity took the original primordial Andorian and split him into 4 beings corresponding with the 4 elements and also our 4 sexes. It's a prototypical creation story that explains why the universe is organized in the way that it is.
You can feel the gears turning as you see her in your mind. You can see she has one of her arms crossed, sort of like under her armpit, like kind of tucked in there. Her hand comes up to her chin and she just slightly covers her mouth and thinks about it. And what, if I can ask, sir, what does it mean to you?
Well, this divinity split our ancient ancestor into 4 parts because he failed to answer the question, are you whole? Are you complete? Are you satisfied in yourself? This song reminds us that we're all on a journey to find completion in relationships, in our knowledge, and most importantly, and he kind of gestures towards his eyes, the blank absence of sight, in everything that we aspire to be.
Her hand that was slightly covering her mouth goes up to her, just kind of to hover over her left eye. There is a scar that runs down her face from a wound she received during a very catastrophic event in her past aboard the Ragnar, where she medically dead for a while. And you can sense that these words, this mention of like finding yourself, that we're not whole, we couldn't answer this question, that seems to resonate with her in a way. But she doesn't immediately say anything. She just stands there, and there's this very subtle, just, huh. Like you can sense that it strikes her, and it hits something. If it was a harp, she's plucked a single string and it is resonating. Just that, that kind of just that drawn out tone. Huh. Do you press, or do you let her mull over whatever she's mulling over in this moment?
I think he does press, actually, and he takes note of her appearance as it begins to imprint itself on his psionic senses, and he gestures in a vaguely human way with his chin towards her. Might I ask you a question in turn?
I'm sorry. Of course. Jaws, of course.
I believe it's ill-mannered of me, but Andorians don't tend to have much concern for such things. Most people on the ship, I think, through scuttlebutt, are aware of how I got my scars, and he sort of picks away slightly at those little pockmarks of sort of white scarification along the sides of his temples. Might I ask how you got yours?
I'm gonna have you roll presence and command. Presence, command, difficulty of 2. What are your focuses?
I have music. That is a focus.
You know what? Yes. I'm going to
was
say
thinking it, but
yes.
actually
I'm going to
declined.
say yes. I like that. That's very good, Matthew. I like where your mind's at. Absolutely. It's very good. Sorry.
Could I take a momentum? Does anyone want that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's there for.
Oh, momentum right back. There it is. Love it.
Nice.
You press. You feel, you can see there is a resistance as you ask, as her hand just lightly traces the scar with her middle finger down, just sort of hovering over her eye, which has been replaced. I'm gonna say it's been replaced. There's a mechanical, robotic eye in there, sort of thing. Been replaced, and she just does this, and she says, I died. They resuscitated me, but I died for... the doctor never told me how long I was actually out. It was during my time aboard the Ragnar, and there was a explosion, that there was a bomb, a device on our cloaking. There are a lot of pieces that I don't remember, sir. I see things sometimes in flashes, and I hear and she starts to get very uncomfortable in this moment as she starts to sort of fill you in on what happened, and very quickly her willingness to discuss this with you, these brief flashes and insights into it, she starts to shut down, and you can hear this nervousness, this fear in her. I actually I need to get to my duty station. It's almost my shift, but thank you for
No, it's quite all right. I appreciated having an audience, and most people on the ship aren't aware of the history of Andorian music, so it's nice to be able to share that as well. If ever you want to hear a slightly more uplifting tune, you need only ask.
She turns from you, walks down one of the... Imagine like there are these little raised platforms, there's areas to sit. Think of like an actual garden. Like if you've ever been to an actual botanical garden, they have little benches and whatnot. Like it's very earthy, very homey in here, very cozy. Walks down one of the pathways, stops to where she can just look back and see you. I think I might I think I might take you up on that sometime. You play very well, sir. He quickly turns and exits out, leaving you to your flute, your music, your own thoughts. I'd like to open the scene. Floor to the crew. Are there any scenes that you all would like to have with each other? Any NPCs? Anyone you'd like to talk to? Even if it's just a moment by yourself and I can maybe throw someone into the scene for you, like another NPC, another officer. I open the floor to all of you at this moment. Mandy, please.
Yes. So, on the recreation deck, Lieutenant Phelan is at the moment pacing back and forth in front of a handful of other security officers. Jenkins, Cartwright, Rojas, Ma'an. Your performance in the last exercise was subpar. I cannot tell you how he searches for the word for a moment. Discontented I am. This has been the 4th time that your performance has been below average. We must go through the drills once more. So, and he holds up in his hand about a 15-pound bowling ball. Says, the form once more. And he goes, we want a proper backswing on your lead step.
Sir, if I could,
Rojas.
look, Lieutenant, I don't think it's the form. I think we can all agree it's not the form, it's the shoes. Why do we have to wear these shoes?
The shoes are an integral part of the ceremony.
They didn't design these for my species, unfortunately, sir.
I mean, they didn't design them for mine, and we invented them.
Well, all due respect, sir. I mean, they've designed them for us, like he says, and they're very uncomfortable. Like, I got really wide feet, and these things are like very tight and narrow. And
bowling shoes are not about function; they are about embracing suffering, embracing hardship, and overcoming it.
I don't.
Sir, I can't actually wear those shoes, given that I have 3 toes, and one of them emerges from the rear of my foot. So I feel as if I really shouldn't be participating in this activity.
Are there maybe we can come to an even ground here. Maybe there's bowling socks.
Well, we could like do it barefoot or something. Like that'd be cool, right?
If Cartwright has 3 toes, I've got 3 toes.
Yeah, I got 6 toes. Too many toes.
What are y'all?
You have the appropriate amount of toes for your species, and if not, I can send you to medical to have them surgically altered.
Oh,
it's just I don't.
Whoa! None of us want that.
I don't think that's regulation, sir.
But all right, I know the importance. I know the importance of this ritual. I know, just like you say, Lieutenant, we've got to harden our bodies against adversity and become our own bulwark. And I believe that, sir. I really do. But these shoes are cruel and unusual punishment.
I think, with all due respect, sir, there might have been a mistranslation when we said bulwark. It wasn't bowling work. It's like a
fortress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bastion.
I am well aware of what you said. Now pay attention.
Well, I for one am most interested in what you called a turkey.
Yes, the turkey is the most honorable and glorious maneuver one can perform in this ancient and well-respected human
You're such
sport.
a brown noser.
In order to perform it, you must deliver your blow with precision and with power. The power is generated in the leading step. It must be a combination of backswing and follow through. And he then.
Fitness security
Oh,
difficulty
oh.
of 3.
Yep.
Let's go. I want to see if he can roll a turkey. This is it. Difficulty of 3.
Security, and what was it?
Isn't that winning 3 games in a row?
You say fitness security?
Fitness security difficulty of 3. What are your focuses?
Security. Threat awareness, hand-to-hand combat, interrogation. I don't think this. All right, come on. Big money, big money.
That's 2 successes. That's 2
So
successes.
one of those was a 3, so if you had a focus that applies.
You know what? I'm gonna give you hand-to-hand
Give
combat
him
on
hand-to-hand
this,
combat.
because
Yeah.
that's funny. So Lieutenant Phelan rolls 3 strikes in a row. Just boom, done, boom, done. And there's a little flourish on the last one. All right, like you know how you take it, and you can like roll it down the side, and it spins to the center, like super fancy. Done. And you get a clap from Jenkins. Jenkins like, hot damn.
That's
Ma'an's looking around like,
it's very
Where's-
impressive, sir.
where's the
Phelan-
turkey, sir?
Barely holds back the urge to just break out into just like a
Battle cry.
triumphant howl. Just...
And now we eat some sort of earth fowl.
No, turkey.
In celebration?
Where is it?
He just bowled it.
I believe the
Oh.
appropriate.
I don't think that
meal
those
for this
pins were
occasion.
a bird.
I believe
Who
the
gave it
appropriate meal
this-
for this
Are
occasion.
they
It's
made of?
pizza.
They're not made of. No, it's a term for
Oh,
the.
yeah, you could get you can
This
get cheese
lack
fries.
of focus is why
I
the
could go for
science
some
team
cheese fries,
defeated us
actually.
last time.
That sounds really good, actually. Cheese fries would be really good. Hey, can we take a break and get some cheese fries, sir? I got a really good recipe for the replicator.
You will
I
have
hate-
cheese fries once each of you is capable of bowling a turkey.
But that will never happen.
We're never gonna get cheese
I
fries.
don't.
So
I don't accept this
That
reality.
sounds
sir.
like your problem then.
It is. I don't want it to be my problem. Can we?
Well, sir, I mean, with all due respect, you are the department head, so technically it's your problem if the science team beats us.
Slowly backs away. Oh.
Ma'an just kind of stays put. He's just like, oh.
And
and
he's
then
gonna,
one step.
Rojas is gonna like lean over to
Even-
Cartwright and go, "I just said that, didn't I? I said that out loud."
you did. I think you might want to go to sickbay. I mean, he's going to send you there, but you need a psych evaluation.
We will at the very least continue exercising until you can consistently bowl 1 strike.
What?
If you're able to get
I
that,
think
then
the
our
floor
next
is warped,
victory
sir.
will
I
be
think the floor is
glorious.
warped.
Hey,
I think the floor is warped. I think there's something wrong with the holograms and the floor is warped.
wanna,
That's why we can't bowl strikes.
I want to go home. There it is.
Or
I said
change
it.
lanes.
I just
Maybe we
wanna-
change lanes.
I want to go home. I don't like this game
Erebus
anymore.
is your home now.
That is true. All right. Well,
Yeah.
guess I'm up
You know what?
first.
You know what he just told us, Jenkins. You know what he just told us. He just told us there's nowhere to run.
I do know there's an airlock on this deck, so I mean there are.
He also
options,
told us
right?
that it is our home. And who wears their shoes inside a home?
Kicks off his shoes.
No.
All right, I'm in. Let's roll.
At this, he just kind of
I'm not
Shakes
going to
his
take
head
these off.
and
As a matter of
walks
fact,
off.
sir, I'm never going to take these bowling shoes off.
Who's the brown noser now?
I will wear one
I'm
shoe,
I am trying not to get killed.
but only
Mhm.
one. That is what I'm going to do, sir.
You took one.
It's a start. It is a start.
Right. And I like that. That's good. I like where that's at. That's fantastic. That was great, Shandy. Well played. That was fucking fantastic. Well played. So there's a bowling league. We have established that there is a bowling league. That is canon.
Yep.
And that security's getting their asses kicked. I love that.
Mm.
Absolutely great. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to do prior to arriving at the planet? The floor is open. The floor is open.
I have a bit of an edgelord moment. And
I love it. Edgelord it up, sister.
Erin will be, she has been briefed about where they're going and having flashbacks about her own colony that fell to crisis and ruin, and she's doing her best to collect herself before, we get there.
So perhaps a moment where you are maybe at your desk in the medical bay and you're maybe having these like dreams and flashbacks, or what are you thinking?
She turned off the lights in her office to try, one less sensory input. Trying to collect her breathing. It's not very successful at the moment. Yeah.
So you are in your office, and if you could take a little creative license here, C4A,
Mhm.
what is the memory specifically that you are having in this moment? I want you to perhaps describe just some sort of vision you're having, or just what's racing through your mind in this moment. And if someone was to walk in, what would you look like as this is happening?
I will start with the potentially easier portion of that question. She is under her desk.
Interesting.
Um, hello. And
Hello.
hello, yeah. And let's see. The memory would be her and a group of her peers have been hidden in a room. She doesn't remember exactly what the room was, and loud footsteps are passing by outside, guttural voices, they sound angry, they're shouting at each other, and her small group are, huddling together because it's obviously not safe. They will be found. It will not end well for them if they are found.
You are going to hear someone walk in, and Drew, I would like you to enter this scene as one of your supporting characters, Specialist Hool. All right, I believe it is Acacian. I'd like you to enter in. I'd like you to think about maybe you need the doctor for something, and you've got your cat sensors, so she's in there, right? And perhaps you maybe even hear her. Maybe there is a heavy breathing, nervousness. You can even like smell I don't know, the sweat. She's like super nervous at this point, like whatever you want to describe it as or figure it out. But you will find her underneath her desk with her eyes closed, it sounds like.
Mm.
And I'd like you to take the scene from here and see where you guys go with it.
So Hool comes in and hears the commander, and then just kind of goes in and looks under the desk and kind of crouches down, like all very, very cat-like, and just kind of whispers, "Lieutenant Commander?"
And she would have, like, trying to quiet, but then hearing his voice,
Yes, yeah.
um, visibly jumped and yes,
Are you
how,
okay?
how can I help you?
Well, I just wanted you to sign off on the duty roster, but are you okay? Do you need something? And he reaches over and goes to take her pulse.
And she will draw back. And then
okay,
once
okay,
realizing
no
that,
problem.
we'll be like, fine. Give me the pad.
He hands you the pad, reaches down, pulls out a tricorder. Does that trying to be subtle thing, but being completely obvious thing that cats do. You know what I mean? Like doing a very obvious thing, but being subtle about doing the obvious thing.
Slowly inching the vase off the counter. Just
Yeah, exactly. While making eye contact, but like pretending that it's not happening. Yeah. And he just pops open his tricorder and starts scanning.
Meanwhile, she can't look at him because if he doesn't see it, it's obviously not happening. So where it's like the same but opposite.
Yeah,
The two.
perfect.
Yeah. And she's not even reading it. She just it's just blur, and she hopes she'd signed the right line, and running through breathing exercises, trying to get it on lock because this is humiliating that she's been discovered.
Doctor, are you okay? You're showing elevated stress hormones. And your pulse is, wow, like 75 beats per minute above your baseline.
It will be fine. Here's the duty roster.
Do you want to talk?
No, 9.
Or you can scratch behind my ears if you want. I've heard that humans like petting furry creatures. I'm willing to do that. I can even purr.
I appreciate the sacrifice, but I do not think that it is appropriate at the moment. If there is nothing else that you need, you may go.
Okay. Are you sure? I can probably think of something less intimate to help. I don't know. I'm bad at this. I'm really nervous.
Just breathe with me.
Yeah.
This-
Let's breathe. Yeah, we'll both breathe, and then this will be significantly less awkward, and I won't want to disappear into a Jeffries tube and never emerge.
I would like you both to make a presence medicine, difficulty of 0, just to get you guys some momentum, because this is wonderful. I'm enjoying every moment of this.
I identify so much with this Cation. Yeah, it's good. I just do something so I don't fold it on myself.
Yeah, I actually like one of his focus. One of his focuses is actually that he's a himbo, but
no!
this is outside of all of his comfort zones. Okay.
There you go. 1 extra momentum for the group.
Triage for a focus?
Sure.
Yeah.
There you go. You got two free momentum. So you guys focus on your breathing, and eventually, as you're watching the medical tricorder, Mr. Himbo Kitty,
Meow.
meow, meow,
Meow.
meow.
Part of the Hello Kitty line.
It is the Himbo Kitty.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
that's trademark Drew Baca 2023.
Meow.
Wow, indeed. But we watch as you both slowly steady your breathing, and I'm not going to make you guys do an awkward exit. We're just going to pivot away from that scene because I think that is absolutely fantastic, and I just want to compliment Drew for jumping in there, man. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Well played. You also may give them a was it a minor? I think you get like a minor reward. Isn't that what it is?
No, it's their supporting characters, their
Yeah.
activation rewards. You can increase an attribute by 1, a discipline by 1, grant the character a
focus, right?
a talent.
A talent.
Okay.
A value or a focus.
Or a value
focus,
focus.
yeah. So just mark that, and don't forget to do that at the end of the session, man.
And
'cause you
each
did
of
activate it.
those, and remember, keep track of which ones that you do because you can only do each once.
Mm.
So I would, in their description, I would just write down which one you've done so that you know. And congratulations, I loved it. I thought you did a great job with that. Also, all the other NPCs that were activated.
Engineers.
Yep, you guys can do one for those as well. I would say focus bowling probably for all of them. You know, as well, or thrown.
Don't tell us
Something.
what to do.
You know, whatever you want.
I'm gonna because Rojas is gonna wear those bowling shoes all the time. I'm gonna take focus work.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So we cut to several hours later, and we watch as we are on the outskirts of a star system. We see the large star burning brightly. It's I'm gonna say it's a blue dwarf, actually. Blue dwarf. So there's kind of this like ambient blue kind of light around here. And we see that there are several planets. There's a large gas giant, very similar to Jupiter. There's several planets that we see. And then at the edge of this solar system, we see the Erebus drop out of warp, slowly start moving on maneuvering thrusters or impulse, as it were. We cut back once more to the bridge, where I think it would be very good to see the majority of our bridge crew on the bridge here at this planet. And this particular planet is the 5th planet from the Blue Dwarf. And as you zoom in, enhance as it were, as you zoom in, you see that there is this sort of crackling cloud of this kind of greenish, dark, almost kind of green black, almost like a storm cloud that surrounds the majority of the planet. There are bits and pieces where you can see glimpses in, but majority of it is surrounded, and you can see these sort of arcs of almost like lightning, almost like there's some sort of storm happening around the planet. And this is what you're picking up, this sort of radiation field. All right. Now, what is interesting is that we're going to make some rolls, because obviously you're probably going to want to investigate it. But I want to pass the floor over once again to the crew. Captain, the ship has just arrived. You see what I've just described to you. If you have any other questions about what you see, what's out there, feel free to ask. But I want to pass the baton, as it were, the torch back over to you guys.
So I think the first thing that the captain would do, just to give a little nod to Lieutenant Phelan, would be to order a yellow alert and have the shields raised.
Much appreciated.
And I think it's Chathane, right, Matthew?
You can just call him Thane. That'll work, but Chathane.
Dr.
Eugene Chafor.
Emphasis on the Cheen and the 4. That's right. Thank you.
Thane. We got Himbo Captain and Thane.
Thane. Shut up, Thane. Yeah. No, the captain's gonna sort of swivel his chair, because my chair swivels, right?
It
I
does
got the good one.
now.
I got the good one that swivels.
But it does this.
It's
like
stupid
slightly
bearings.
off.
It's like
Squeaks every time you move.
Oh god.
like we'll do the whole episode of Enterprise where it's just the captain complaining about his chair, and
It's like
Tucker
Palpatine
trying to
having to
fix it.
scoot it with his feet. to
Yeah.
turn.
Dr. Thane, can you give me readings on that radiation field?
Information coming in now, Captain. So reason, science.
Difficulty of 3. Quite a bit of interference.
Okay. So I'll roll 3d20, and somebody can get the ship with its assist.
Beautiful. Yikes.
Oof.
18,
Oh, wow.
18, 19. Wow, that is unexpected.
Huh.
I don't know what to say. That's
Captain, you
Well,
roll for
I
the
do
ship?
have I do have 2 points of determination because I created a complication
you do it.
at one point, so I'm going to re-roll those 3 dice.
I think that's a good idea.
What's the ship rolling?
Computer science. That is probably the worst roll in history of this game I've ever seen, and I don't mean that hatefully. That was surprising.
Yeah, and now we need the ship to get a success.
Does it get a focus?
Always.
It
Ship always
does.
gets a focus.
Yes.
Okay.
Shouldn't it be?
Hey, we get a momentum
There
back.
we
That's
go.
wonderful. All right,
Holy.
that went from
There
horrible
we
to pretty
go.
good. So,
Yeah.
to describe what you're seeing, imagine, if you will, that there was a warp core overload, and there's an explosion. You've probably seen shows where you see a warp core dropped and it erupts, and there's this blue swirl, this explosion, crackling energy. Imagine that happened, but that it didn't stop, and that it surrounded a planet and was just like this raging storm around the planet. You're picking up, it looks like the planet is surrounded by an erupting warp core.
So it's delta radiation.
Correct.
I'd like to ask a free question.
Please.
That being, do I think that this is an unnatural phenomenon,
You do not.
like a warp core breach?
Oh, yes, you do. You believe it is, I thought you said natural. You believe this is an unnatural phenomenon. It is likely artificially created, not a naturally occurring phenomenon. At least you've never seen anything like it, so you would believe it is something that was done rather than happened to them.
Well, Captain, based on my preliminary readings, it seems as if there has been rather substantial degradation to subspace, akin to that which would occur in a warp core breach. As we know, the Federation once instituted a limitation on warp speed travel to a maximum warp of 5 in order to avoid precisely that. The entire planet seems to be engulfed in what is roughly analogous, based on its delta wave radiation readings, to a massive warp core breach. I'm as baffled as you, yes.
Do we have any idea how it's sustaining itself? And why the planet, for that matter, isn't being annihilated by a matter-antimatter reaction?
Preliminary readings do suggest it might be artificial in nature. It could be some kind of shield or a means of imprisoning the planet. Although, and he turns over to the tactical officer, that is outside of my area of expertise.
Yeah, Phelan will consider how effective would this be as a sort of planetary shield.
So give me a reason security, a difficulty of 2.
Okay. Reason security. Ooh.
The dice hate you guys tonight. As I always say, the dice have a story to tell, and apparently tonight it's get bent.
Yeah.
So you take some readings, and here's your complication. Here's your complication. Actually, I'm not gonna pocket that for threat. I'm gonna give you a complication.
Okay.
You go to take readings, and as soon as you start to take readings of tactical capabilities of this, or whether or not this could be like defensive or offensive, your console starts to pick up readings from the planet, as though as soon as you scanned it with weapon sensors, as it were, not that they're necessarily a different thing, but it's almost like the storm clouds seemed to recognize that it was being analyzed tactically. And I mentioned there's a couple little holes around. Those suddenly seal up. So the storm reaches out, seals up, seals up, seals up, seals up, and there is now one hole that remains opened. And based on the view that you have of the planet, it seems to be right over a rather large, industrial-like city. And based on your reading, Schmandy, what I'm going to give to you, even though you failed, it appears that if there was to be a source of this storm, it is from that place. That place.
I will relay this information to the captain. Captain, our tactical sensors seem to have triggered a response in the radiation belt. The storm seems to be closing form.
Last bit of information I want to provide you, Schmandy, if I may.
Go
You
for
get
it.
readings like you're being scanned back.
I believe we are being scanned in return. I would suggest we consider this a potentially hostile action.
Our first order of business anytime that we encounter an unidentified ship, Lieutenant, is to scan it. I won't react hostile in a hostile fashion to somebody who's curious.
Might I submit that we actually appear hostile, considering they've reacted poorly to our presence? We did arrive with our shields up.
If I may, Captain, says the first officer, are we to assume that they are warp capable at this point? I mean, if it's a matter-antimatter reaction.
If they've harnessed a matter-antimatter reaction, the Prime Directive no longer applies. We can attempt communication. I have a theory. Perhaps this shield is simply harnessed byproduct of a power source, a waste material that is repurposed for this radiation screen.
Could I ask another question based on the sensor scans?
Sure.
Do we detect anything within the industrial city that is producing an amount of power that would be, I suppose, congruous with what's being produced here, like the field itself? Is there kind of like a tie?
You want to give me a momentum? I'll answer that question.
That question was poorly phrased, but yeah.
Am I getting a momentum? Feed me.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want you to imagine you know how the Romulans harness like basically little mini black holes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're picking up something like that. Like something that would give off an insane amount of power. It's a dangerous level of power. Like something that could that if got loose would eradicate probably the planet, several planets in the radius, and maybe even the star itself.
Just tell me that the screens don't lock out with omega symbols.
They do not lock out with omega symbols.
Good.
That's because otherwise it's I guess we're leaving. Goodbye.
Oh no! Then the prime directive gets
then
suspended.
the prime directive gets rescinded, and we just go in.
Well, I guess we're just gonna go destroy this place.
I would like to then use my talent, rapid hypothesis, to begin formulating a theory about the kind of technology that might be employed to create such a thing, and the means by which we would contain the release, I suppose the unintended release of energy associated with it. So that will stand as an advantage moving forward.
Perfect. So anytime you have to make a roll about this, you have an advantage towards it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Brilliant. I love it. Perfect. So I would say, if I may elaborate slightly, your theory goes into the fact that this is the center that you're looking at is probably the industrial center and like the power source for the entire planet. And you're getting the impression that they are pumping. It's basically like a byproduct of this energy generation, that there's a lot of waste that is getting pumped into the sky, and they have harnessed to act as a kind of shield for the planet. So they are using the waste byproduct of this process as a defense, which is interesting, I suppose. Or maybe stupid. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, the captain's going to tap his comm badge. Truth to Stern.
Yeah.
Doctor, I'm going to have Mr. Thane send down some readings on the radiation that we're picking up around the planet. I'd like you to provide me with recommendations for inoculation against its harmful effects, if any, before we convene a senior staff meeting.
Copy that.
Captain, if taking defensive actions is advised against, if we are to assume that this is a civilized planet, should we not attempt to hail them?
I was about to get to that, Lieutenant, but excellent idea, so please open hailing frequencies.
You guys just got a momentum from chat. Thank you, Judas Barbecue.
Thank you.
I love barbecue. Had barbecue today.
It's delicious.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
Fridays are for barbecue.
Excuse me.
Yeah, well, can we open hailing frequencies? It's the plan.
All right. Hailing frequencies open, Captain. What do you do? What do you say?
Just do the spiel.
Go ahead.
It's so weird because like I could like my first instinct is just say something like "attention, alien planet," but it's like we're the aliens. We're not like they're not the aliens. We are.
Like, hey, weirdos.
I guess I'll just cut that part off and just say,
Edit in post.
yeah, there we go. We'll do it live.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mike was on? Oh.
This is Captain Ezra Shruth of the Federation starship Erebus. To anybody on the planet receiving, we are on a peaceful mission and request contact. Please respond.
Pause. 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 Specialist says, it's registering that they received it, sir. Pause. Then a video. Back. There is an alien that you see before you who has a sort of purple, almost kind of like reptilian kind of face, a very flat nose with little slits, a ridges that come up to these sort of almost looks like he has a little crown, these almost like not cat-like kind of eyes, kind of slanted, as it were, and looks like they have sort of like green on the sides. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this for you guys. And I'm actually going to post this. I'm going to post this in DerWolfDen under Star Trek so that anybody that's watching that's a member of the community can see. But that's what the aliens look like. All right? That's what the alien looks like to you. They definitely look like they might have been hunters in their history. Forward-facing eyes. He, she, they doesn't seem to be wearing a shirt or anything. At least as far as you can tell, it's just very much an up top kind of part of the head. And they come out of the view screen. Behind them, you see wires, blinking lights. Think Warhammer 40k Mechanicus. Just wires everywhere. They themselves, though, look very clean, very orderly, very shiny, which is a juxtaposition to all of the nastiness you see behind them. And you can see several other of their species moving about. They appear... They stand unclothed, but you don't see any, like, body parts, as it were, all right? They all look very... What's the term? Not amorphous. Androgynous. Androgynous, right? And the creature looks, and you can see this, they're analyzing you for a moment. Sort of tilts their head to the side, looks around. Well met, Captain of this Federation. I am Ithtal of the Ikka. Your greetings are received and reciprocated, but I must say it is strange to receive a communication from you, that is to say, from anyone. He looks back over his shoulder. One of them says something to him that the universal translator doesn't quite pick up. Kind of sounds like clicking noises at first, like if you've ever heard the kung of Africa speak, with like clicks and sort of things. Yes, of course. Was this something that you needed, wanted, or desired, Captain of this Federation, or was this simply a pass-by?
It is our mission to seek out new life and learn what we can of their cultures. What we desire would be an exchange of information about our two peoples.
And what would be the purpose of these exchanges between people?
To broaden our understanding of one another, or, in this case, to establish it.
To what end, Captain? What end? To gain an advantage, perhaps? To share information? To gain an advantage for yourself or over someone? What end?
Nothing so insidious. We merely wish to learn.
Curious. 4 clicks. Another one of the creatures, the aliens, comes over and hands him something. It kind of looks like a data pad. Looks at it. You have a ship, then, Captain. Obviously, a ship. Ship in our system, Captain.
Correct.
How big is your ship, Captain? How many people can it hold?
What's our crew, Wolf? It's like what, 500 people, 400 people,
I think
or 1,000?
I think the crew was like 500-600, and then you had enough for like another like 400-500 civilians. I think is what we'd established, but
Yeah.
I'll be honest,
So,
I don't rightly remember right this second. So make
if
it
we've
up.
got us, okay, well, I'll make it up because I'll just go based on what I know about the Sovereign class because it's a Sovereign class refit. So
Perfect.
our standard crew complement is 800. We have 200 civilians aboard. If you're talking about absolute maximum capacity, it's roughly 17,000, but it would be very cramped.
I have not heard of this federation. Where are you from, Captain?
Very far away. Another galaxy.
There is excited clicking and buzzing from the chamber that he's in. And I'd like you to make a presence command. Do you have anything like negotiations, empathy?
I have cultural studies, diplomacy, linguistics.
Give me you can use diplomacy on this one. Actually,
Okay.
this is going to be linguistics because I want to see if you pick up something in his voice and his tone and the way he's expressing himself.
So it's presence command?
Presence command. Yeah, that's what I want you to do.
And sorry, I missed the difficulty.
Difficulty on this is going to be a 3 on this one. It's not that easy.
Okay. Does anybody mind if I spend a momentum?
Go for it.
Good.
It's what it's there for.
Like it. Like it.
Let's go. And we've got to focus.
I did describe it right as a lizard cat, right? Kind of looks like a lizard cat, right?
Yeah.
I did. I
Yeah.
tried. I was trying to describe it.
So that's that momentum right back.
Nice.
All right. There is a hint of desperation in his voice that you pick up on. A hint of desperation mixed with a little bit of hope in his voice. Captain, your desire for an exchange of information is very foreign to us. Our last visitors were not so friendly. In fact, several have attempted to visit our planet. And of those several, we have, to be honest with you, we have eradicated them. There is something in your voice, Captain, that it gives this one pause. I would entreat with you to discuss. His eyes blink rapidly. There's some clicking. I would discuss a exchange of ideas with you. Seeing as I have accepted the offer, in our culture it is customary for me to choose the location. I choose your ship.
Do you have any particular environmental requirements?
he would exchange with you that they seem to be able to adapt to most environments. And you're getting the impression when he describes this to you that their species is heavily augmented. Like, through biology, like, like medical science, probably got some like implants, things like that. Like, they are heavily augmented sort of species. And you get the feeling that they'll be able to adapt very quickly. Like, they might have like allergies for a little bit and like sniffle, but they'll adapt quick.
He nods and says, "Stand by. We will lock onto you with our transporter and bring you aboard."
One other thing, Captain. It is customary for when there is an exchange, such as this, we send one and the others send one in return. Whom will you send?
You are referring to mutual hostages?
Hostage, Captain, is the wrong word.
Is
And
it?
an opportunity for one to learn among your people and one to learn among mine. Mutually beneficial.
I understand. Mr. Flitz,
Captain.
as you're the only one that I can be reasonably sure won't be affected by the radiation, I'm sending you. Specifically, I want you to study their technology.
Aye, sir.
And if there's a way to decrease any harm that it may be potentially doing to the planet, I would like you to assist them if you can.
Aye, Captain. I shall do my best.
In the meantime, Mr. Thane, Lieutenant Phelan, and he'll chime down to sick bay. Commander Stern, please report to Transporter Room 3.
Yes, Captain. I have the results for what you asked me earlier.
Excellent. I'll meet you en route. We'll discuss it on the way.
Okay, Commander Stern, I'm going to give this one to you. You guys, if you went down to that planet, would last on a whole probably 5 minutes. You do have an inoculation that you could synthesize, replicate, as it were, that would give you several hours, but after those several hours, you would quickly start to basically turn to jelly. Like, it's not good. It's bad. Yeah, it's like, it's bad.
Am I, or I'm fairly certain that I would be okay, though.
You're fine.
He's a Soong-type android, yeah.
You'll be fine.
So,
Just,
Please.
who knows?
Spendy.
so Phelan, listening to this conversation, wants to try and get a read on that guy because I mean he mentioned mentioned eradicating their previous contact. B wants access to our ship now, and C the captain himself said that what he's sounding sounds an awful lot like a hostage exchange. So would that be insight security?
I like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Focus threat awareness?
I love it. Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
So with that, I got well, I got a 1.
Here's what
Oh,
I'm
dear.
going to say. I'm going to pocket that threat for a later opportunity. All right? Take 2 threat. Fantastic. With your 1, here is what you think. Now, whether or not it's true remains to be seen. Your gut tells you this guy is up to something. Your gut tells you to be ready. Your Klingon senses are saying this is a trap, and you also feel very ill prepared for it. You were reminded of how it took several hours for your crew, your team, hit strikes. Not ready for this. You're not ready for this. I want you to habit that in your character so you get more information. That's how you're feeling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Run with it.
And perhaps as a validation of that feeling, the captain is going to advise the lieutenant to go armed.
I was going to suggest the same, sir. May I also recommend posting some additional security assets to the transporter room?
I'll do you one better, Lieutenant. I want 2 additional security personnel outside the transporter room, and I want all civilians secured from general quarters, and I want guards posted at every sensitive area of the ship.
It will be done, sir.
Exchange of ideas.
Starfleet paranoia at its best.
Starfleet paranoia. Starfleet hostile diplomacy.
Yeah.
It's called cowboy diplomacy, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a reason they sent the Regent class out here.
Ugh.
All
All right.
It wouldn't have done any of it if it wasn't like, hey, send one of your people down here too.
So Flitz, we're gonna go with you. You get on the transporter pad. We watch as transporters engage. Go ahead, Flitz.
I have a phaser and a communicator, or in a tricorder.
Beautiful.
Before he departs, is there any way that we could perhaps create an advantage whereby we could inject him with something like nanites that would enable us to lock onto his signal more easily if they threw up a transport inhibitor or something like that?
Spend the momentum to create an advantage, and I'll say yes.
Would everyone be okay with that? Or
That would be great.
He's like, yes, please. I don't want to die.
then I suppose we'll do that.
All right. Good. So you are injected with transporter locking nanites. All right. As you are transported down, we're going to follow Commander Flitz first.
Yeah.
We're going to follow Commander Flitz. Flitz, you arrive on a slightly rusted metallic platform. I want you to imagine, if you've seen it, the end of The Matrix 3, where Neo's in the chair, you see all the robots, and there's the weird, just the fucking fields of just robotic. Planet is dead, right? That's what you see. You arrive. And as you arrive, you kind of look out over this, call it a wasteland of just Mechanicus, Adeptus Mechanicus, all right? Its entire city, as far as you can see, is just machines pumping out God knows what. Your tricorder starts beeping, giving off alarms like a Geiger counter, just freaking out. If you weren't what you are, you would likely be melting at this point, but you're okay for the time being. You hear metal sort of like almost like boots, but imagine like if you hear your little kitties running around on the hardwood floor at night, that kind of tick 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 noise. You hear that. You look back to see 3 of these aliens. The Ikal, as they call themselves. 3 of them stand there. They do not carry anything with them, but you get the impression that they are scanning you regardless. It's an impression that you get. You can kind of feel yourself being analyzed. The tallest of the 3, who looks similar to the one named Inal. So it's Ikal. He's Inal of the Ikal, Inal. And that's great, Aaron, by the way. I love that. And as you are standing there, this one speaks. And unlike the first one, who had more of a deeper voice, this one's voice is a little bit higher pitched and a little bit more, I would say, kind. The first one did not seem necessarily hostile, despite Lieutenant Phelan things, but there was definitely a nervousness to him. The one that you have before you in this moment seems delightedly curious. And they speak. Greetings. My name is Ardal. Ardal. May call me Dal or R or anything for that matter. It is uncommon for us to experience new. We have been so closed for so long. One of the ones to this creature's right, this alien's right, gently reaches out and just sort of puts a hand on their shoulder. You see this one taking a deep breath and kind of calm down. I have been instructed by our. I have been instructed to show you things, show you around, as it were, to exchange ideas with you in this. That is to say, what is or is our home. Is there anything in particular you would like to? I'm sorry, I'm not very good at. It is so uncommon, and they begin to become a little nervous, stumble over their words. There is almost a childlike element to them, a sort of childlike excitement mixed with, well, a bit of confusion. How would you respond?
Blitz kind of has that energy a little bit too, like that kind of childlike, like kind of wonder, just everything's kind of cool, and but he's not like, he doesn't have that same like kind of nervous energy though. He's greetings. My name is Lieutenant Commander Flitz. You may refer to me as Flitz. I would like to see what I can of how you live and who your people are, and what you're willing to show me of your technology. I would not presume to try to find anything that you would consider secret, but I just would like to know more of you as a people.
There is some to know, much to be learned and discovered. There is sordid history of things, and the one to her right now, speaks up. Keep it simple, Ardra. We do not know if we can trust them yet. Of course, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yes. Good. So we could start. Yes.
Be at ease. Be at ease. There's no need to be nervous.
They fidget slightly. Their hands. They have 4 fingers, a thumb. Very humanoid in that. They don't. Even though they have those forward-facing eyes, they don't look. They don't seem to be set up for violence. Like, there's no claws or razors or anything. They're just very long, lanky, androgynous aliens. But this one seems to calm down slightly in this moment. But he they, it, she, whatever it is, nods. Perhaps we could start with our communications array, where we communicate with you, where we met and we communicated, right? We could do that, correct? Or
that would be wonderful.
Good.
Who are your companions here?
Oh, they are my guardians. They have no names. They are just our guardians. Right, let's go. With me. Come. Do watch your step. It is don't touch that. And she points to a glowing kind of like wire, or touch that, or that. Just walk on the line. There's a line. Follow that as best you can. Just follow it. They walk away. You follow behind, and
he walks on that line with an absolute mechanical precision.
Beautiful. So as you walk down the line, you see more of this sort of rusted out. It appears that to put it simply, it appears that the technology they have is falling apart, for lack of a better term. It looks like I want you to imagine just like an old rusted out like factory, and you can see that things are like duct taped together, and this machinery, everything that seems to be running in this planet is the complete opposite of how these creatures move. They move with a kind of grace, a kind of flow, the way that they walk, and they seem very light in their steps. Does that make sense? Very good. So you're going to follow that creature, that person, that alien. But we're going to pivot back up to the transporter room on the Erebus, where you watch Foots disappear in the blue light. Watch the blue light appear again. And then
can we do one? Sorry, can we do one thing before we do that?
Please, of course.
I'd like to have a little
Side up? Yeah.
a little
Please.
sidebar
Go
with
for it.
Commander Stern en route. I said I was going to meet her en route, and we were going to walk the rest of the way too. So
Perfect.
Lieutenant Phelan, Dr. Thane, and myself with Commander Stern, just sort of on the way, so that we could have a few quick words.
Yeah, I will check on the status of my security teams getting into position.
And I think, yeah, just we'll come in like as the captain, sort of like wrapping up a statement, just saying like, but I want to make it clear they're not to take any action, not unless a threat is perceived.
Understood.
And Commander Stern, are you all right?
Fine. I have all of the preliminary findings from the atmosphere, and I believe that organic beings could still be down there. Captain, I would like to go down there and try to help.
Well, Doctor, we are bringing one of them up to the transporter room. That's why I asked you to come along. Do you have your medical tricorder handy?
Of course.
Good. I'd like readings. They appear to be reptilian and may have a higher resistance to the radiation. Clearly they would have to survive, even look physically healthy.
It's also possible they've engaged in relatively extensive genetic engineering of their own species to account for the degradation to their natural environment.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor. Commander Stern, I suppose take that into account if there's any genetic drift, if we even have a way to detect for that.
And she'll be working on her tablet. Inputting that now.
But they want something from us and they're desperate. I think
They
it may be
probably
worse.
want our help, Captain.
Yes, and I'm going to rely on each of you and your recommendations to help me determine how to proceed.
Well, Captain, if you want my recommendation, I would say that we shouldn't have all these guards about, considering that they already have a negative impression of outsiders and seem to be somewhat paranoid about the disclosure of any information. Sensor scans, he looks over the doctor, and the presence of armed guards might increase the tensions.
Lieutenant Phelan, make sure that our pathway to the turbo lift, to the bridge and the observation deck, is clear of any visible guards.
I will make sure that they are within reasonable range.
Also, I think I saw one earlier wearing bowling shoes.
Bowling?
He will be part of the second line if needed.
Excellent. But I thank you for your recommendation, Dr. Thane, and I want you to continue to keep voicing your objections.
He doesn't seem particularly pleased by that, but he nods.
Hey, thanks for speaking up. I'm going to keep telling you to go screw yourself, but good job. That's great.
Haven't they been sequestered to quarters anyway? Like,
You're right. You did order all civilians.
All
I guess.
civilians quarters.
Well, we'll say all civilian dependents, not civilian workers.
Lieutenant Commander Stern. And well, each of you. These creatures. What would you say the level of adaptability that they have? Because I would like to remind you what nearly happened to the Federation and most of the Alpha Quadrant the last time we had encountered a super adaptive species.
The difference being... Go ahead.
I will be better answer that. Be better to answer that. Whatever. When I see this person.
Dr. Thane?
No, it's simply that they're not intending to yoke us into some sort of gestalt consciousness.
No, but they may, for instance, attempt to take control of the ship or make other use of our resources. As they had mentioned, they had eradicated the last contacts they had had.
You know, this paranoia is really more in keeping with a Romulan.
Well, since we have brought them up, might I remind you of an old saying, beware of Romulans bearing gifts.
I don't think they have a concept of gifts based on what they had to say about the exchange of knowledge between us and the quest for understanding for its own sake, but I suppose your point is well taken.
I've heard some things along the sides. Oh my God, sorry all. I have heard something along the lines of what he said, except on my colony, we gift means poison. So while I do believe that we should hear them out, it would not behoove us to dismiss any potential dangers.
I intend to go into it with both eyes open, but I won't have him beam aboard with a phaser pointed at him. We will afford
that's
them
probably
every...
something we should resolve as well.
Hmm?
A proper means of address that might be a cultural taboo.
For now, I'm simply going to refer to them as Ithtal, which is what they said their name was. I'll make every effort, but if I slip, someone please kick me or something, because I do want to make a good first impression.
but I, Captain.
Well, let's go, shall we?
Everyone prepared?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Well done, everyone. I loved it. So, we see you guys enter into the transporter room. Flitz has transported away. And we watch as there is that classic blue glow, the noise. And we see this alien, this creature, person, standing before you. And there is a moment where the ridges that come up on the side of their head kind of twitch slightly. Like you can see this kind of twitch. And you watch as their eyes dart from the captain, Shaw's, the Phelan, Stern. Flick, 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 flick. Like very quickly moving, rapid blinking. And then we watch as I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to roll a d4 really quick. 4. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. We watch as the creature transforms, morphs into a humanoid female with white hair, not in ponytails, not in like braids, but in just white, long, flowing hair. Their clothing, they now have clothing, seems to almost Mystique from the X-Men kind of transform. And it now looks like maybe a distant cousin to Commander Stern. Not a specific one, but they could be related. Creature looks down at themselves. It's one of these. Draws in a very deep, deep breath.
Oh, this is them adapting to the
Yeah.
neat.
Oxygen, nitrogen, and a few other miscellaneous elements. Curious. Very. Almost seems to taste the air. Very pleasant. Very pleasant. Captain Ishra, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes. And you are Ithtal?
Yes. I hope that my new appearance is not. I hope I have not startled you, Captain.
I imagine this is your environmental adaptability at play.
My species have. That is to say, my people have undergone extensive modifications to survive the condition of our homeworld and to give us an opportunity to integrate as we perform our exodus from our planet. I have a question, if I may, Captain. You mentioned
Please.
that your ship, it has room for expansion.
Well, what I quoted you was what we call our evacuation capacity. It's the number of life forms that we're able to support before our environmental systems are strained to critical levels.
I would like to see more of this ship of yours, if I may. They kind of reach up and like play with their long, like white kind of hair for a moment. Curious. What is the purpose that lifts it and drops it of this?
We are, for the most part, mammalian.
The word seems to not make any sense to them.
I'll provide you with access to the Federation cultural database when we arrive at our briefing room.
Would like that, Captain. And might I say thank you for the opportunity.
And our thanks to you. This type of exchange is precisely the reason we're out here.
In my culture, there is a custom. We meet another people that do not wish to immediately attack us. If you are willing, I would like to perform that.
What does it entail?
A simple gesture. A moment of connection.
Is there any chance it could be harmful to me?
Do not believe so.
Commander Stern, thoughts?
She will walk around her almost doppelganger, taking scans and trying to get a better idea of what the hell they're looking at.
I'm gonna give this one to you for free. This new alien is registering 100% human, down to a molecular level. Like, their DNA chains are human. Like, it is, you're struggling to find anything alien about them.
How did you do that? Can you do that more than once a day? More than one at a time?
It has never been done. We have never had the need, that is to say, I never had the need to do such a thing, but
Is it permanent?
until necessary to change, yes.
So your signs are reading as human. How are you suggesting you do this connection? Do you have psychic ability?
No. It is simply a gesture. My forehead to his forehead. Sign of respect. Be so close. To be allowed to be in danger. To have one's eyes closed. It's a sign of trust.
A mutual display of vulnerability.
Dips her head low for a moment. Correct.
And he'll think about it for a moment. And yeah, he'll step forward and say, proceed.
This person offers their hands to you.
Okay.
One hand is up, one hand is down. So you would take the hand, they would take the hand, and there's a very balanced aspect to it, right? And then they do, smack whack patty whack, as it were.
We just start
Cool
voguing.
handshake, voguing, as it were.
Secret
They do
handshake.
this.
The
It's like,
transporter.
so imagine your hand is on here, they offer it.
Oh,
palm-
is this
palm to
where I
palm.
find out he's a stonecutter too, and then we just help the planet?
Yeah, that's true. Correct. You do this, and then she simply leans her head forward, rests it for a moment on your forehead, and there's no light show, there's no psychic connection. The person doesn't grow spines and embed them into your brain and plant seeds into your face. It is simply just a moment. They connect.
Oddly specific.
They lean back.
I like that.
What an
And
odd thing to say.
as they lean back, they're human now, for all intents and purposes. You can see this breath, this relief that they have on their face as this moment passes. Thank you again, Captain, for allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Myself to be as well. You mentioned something about a conference room where we could talk.
Yes.
I do not wish to be demanding. There's much I wish to discuss with you on how we might be able to help one another.
Then, by all means, follow me.
And as the 5 of you, I believe, 5 of you exit out, I think that's a great moment for us to take a quick 5 to 10 minute break. Let the players here and the viewers grab a quick drink, the restroom, as it were. I know myself, I got to get some cough drops because my voice is starting to go a little bit, but I'm having a blast. But for those at home, feel free to please stick around. We'll be back here in about 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put up our little intermission page that we have here for you guys, and then stick with us for part 2 of our session 3, Take Me Home, as it were. Take Me Home, as it were. And yeah, we're gonna see what happens here. I'm liking what you guys have done. I do want to give a quick shout out to Drubaka here for that scene with Stern. I thought that was fantastic. And another quick shout out to Schmandy for his little impromptu scene. That was great. I want to give everyone a credit. One of my things that I really want to do is, obviously I've got some NPCs that I play, but I want to give you guys more opportunities to just kind of expand the narrative of this crew and bring them to life. And I just want to say you guys have done great today. I'm really enjoying it. It was super fun. It was super fun. So we'll be back here in about, I want to say about 10 minutes. But until then, be well, be safe, and stick around for part 2. We'll see where this adventure goes. We'll be right back. All right.
There it is.
Now that Aaron's been refreshed live on camera, we're good to go.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. So we last left off our intrepid crew of the Erebus. They had just met and done a student exchange program with their own
Student
Lieutenant Commander
exchange.
Flitz and one of their aliens who has now morphed. And I will be fully honest, I rolled for it. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted Shaz, the captain, Schmandy, obviously Lieutenant Flan, and then Commander Stern, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and I rolled the 4. So hey, dice have a story to tell. Apparently it's Stern, which is going to play in very interestingly here soon. But I digress. It's very interesting. But we're going to go back down to planet side first. I'd like to go back down to planet side, where Commander Flitz, you have been given a small tour of this facility, and the facility itself is no bigger than likely the first deck of the Erebus itself, which is obviously you've got a conference room, you've got the captain's ready room, you've got the bridge, there's a couple of miscellaneous locations, probably like a restroom and things like that. There's a docking bay, etc., things of this nature, airlock and whatnot. But it's not a very big place. All right, and you've just gotten to the same room that you would have seen that the initial alien was speaking to you from. And it's this room with all of these wires and lights and sound, and it smells greasy, and you're picking up rust, radiation. You don't smell like a human or a mammal or a person, as it were. You're being an android, but you're picking up all of these different things that in large quantities would probably kill your average being, right? And I'd like to take a moment to just give a reason engineering, just to give a general overview of what you're seeing. It's going to be a difficulty 2 check, and I'm going to give you some information based on if you make the roll or not. All right?
Momentum.
Yeah. Reason engineering.
As you're doing this somewhat nervous alien, I know it's not much, but it is all that we have, enough to. It is simply home, I suppose. Home. Fantastic. Get a momentum right back.
Let's go.
You scan around. Let's go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll
You
talk to her later.
You scan around, Flitz, and you pick up all of the machinery here.
It's 4 successes. I get +1
nice
success when I use reason.
2 momentum back to you guys. That's brilliant. So you're picking up that all of the machinery you see around you is like on its last leg. Like one coupler is going to fail and the whole thing's going to fall apart. It is held together by duct tape and faith, is what you're picking up. All right? What is really interesting, though, is that your scans pick up something that's not from this galaxy. In fact, it's something from your galaxy. And as you scan, you see that this chamber you're in is a very large circular chamber. There's different consoles all around. There was a single walkway, sort of platform that walked into it. Lots of different areas. You haven't seen any like sleeping areas or resting areas or anything like that. Just a lot of just consoles. Sitting on one of the consoles, though, you see what appears to be bits and pieces of what might at one point have been a very, very old Earth satellite of some sort. And on the side of that, bits and pieces, you see a couple of little things, items of interest. One of them is an old record player, and 3 letters VOY. You see this alien who is getting a little bit excited now. This nervousness, she, he, they, it, says, "Oh, you see, you've noticed something. An oddity that landed on our planet some years ago. Not sure how long, really. It was here before I was created. I like to play something for you, if you don't mind. I'm not really sure what to call it, but I like it, and I found it very pleasant." This man walks over and picks up the record, turns the little dial, and crank, and puts the record on the little turntable, and takes the little needle and sets it, and you start to hear, "I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart." And it plays the song, as it were, and you see the creature nod their head back and forth, this alien, back and forth. Very pleasant. Seem to very much enjoy it.
Yes. This is music? Your people have music?
No. It's just... We don't have music. It's sounds, tones that are pleasant, but we do not create such things ourselves. Not... They're not... They have served no purpose. Our survival.
Huh. Well, this is an Earth song. The title of it is "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire." It was originally written by Benny Benjamin, Eddie Durham, Sol Marcus, and Eddie Sealer in 1938 of the Earth calendar. It is approximately 500 years old.
There is a look of surprise and wonder in the alien's face. Are you saying, Flitz, Commander Flitz, that this thing is from where you are from?
It does appear to be so. It appears to be the overall artifact appears to be a probe launched by one of the races of our galaxy, one whose frame I am loosely based after, known as humans. And this probe was launched approximately 500 years ago as well, and was lost to time and apparently to our home galaxy.
There is a smile that appears on their face. There is a genuine warm feeling that smile. Curious that such a thing would arrive here, and curious that you all would arrive in turn.
Indeed it is. I have found that there are many coincidences in the universe that some would say point towards some sort of guiding hand. But I see it more as a happy accident of the laws of probability. Something that allows us all to somehow share in the wonders and the interconnectedness of everything.
Smile turns into a very bright, beaming grin. And there is a almost intoxicating feel to that, which is strange for you as an android, but you feel this moment, the desire to smile in return. Now, you don't have to if you don't want
I
to,
do.
but you feel it.
Absolutely.
I love that. Our planet is dying, and we have nowhere to go. And as she starts to, they, she, he, it, starts to speak, the two aliens, their guards, step forward and stop her. Not physically, but there is a presence. I'm sorry. I should not have said.
It's
Forgive
quite
me.
all right. Sometimes not all information is to be shared. That is something that your companion up on our ship will find, and I do not take it as an insult that you cannot tell me everything of what goes on down here. Would you care to tell me what this probe that you have found from our home means to your people? Would that be something that you would be willing to share?
Yes. This person looks over to the Voyager probe, little music box. Looks at it. There is a glimmer of joy, kind of a little mirth in their eye. And they seem unable to come up with the right word for it. Stumble over their words for a few moments. I don't have a word for it. My people have lived in fear, I would call it. They have lived in fear that the ones who forced us to do this. They motion to all of the gears and the whirling and the wires and the sort of dark, greenish, crackling cloud of energy that surrounds the planet, forced us to do this. This is all I have known since I was created. All that my creators. All that there is. Those that did create us have long since succumbed to what they created us for to do. Once again, the two guards step forward. Motion for her. She, it, them to stop. You are an engineer, are you not?
Indeed.
There is something I would ask you to look at. A small thing. Just a small thing. Good.
Sure. Please.
They would lead you over to a small little console, and on that console there is I want you to imagine the Rose from Beauty and the Beast. There is a little glass container, and there is a bell jar. Bell jar? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Bell jar. There's a bell jar. And inside of it is a small plant of some sort. I want you to imagine like a technicolored Venus flytrap is what it looks like. All right? It's kind of ugly. Like, real talk, it's kind of ugly. But it appears that the device that it is in is malfunctioning. And the Venus flytrap itself looks very sick and wilty. So there's not a lot of technicolor in it, right? And protect the plant. Alien Wally, protect the plant. Exactly, Julian. You're amazing. I love you. But motion to the device. I have tried what I could to fix this, but it remains failing. think it may simply be the radiation planet that is making this thing sick, but it is the last living thing of this world. Everything else has been consumed by that which we created to protect. Irony, I suppose.
I scan it.
Give me insight engineering. See what's going on with this. Yeah, Little Prince. That's a good one, Judas. You got it. Love it.
I'm gonna use momentum if no one cares.
Difficulty
Oh,
of
it's
2.
2.
Yeah.
I imagine my theoretical experimental physics doesn't really apply.
I would say no.
Yeah. Most of the rest is all about starships. Okay. Let's see what we got. I'll buy that for $1.
That's a damn good roll. So you get 1 momentum right back. So imagine there's a small containment field. It's actually a really simple fix. They likely just don't have the parts for it, right? It's a very simple little fix. All you would have to do is actuate the backup ionic imaging chamber for it. I'm glad that it's a chamber because it's in a bell jar, so that just worked out perfectly. Sometimes this will happen little accidents, happen little coincidences, right? It's meant to be. And it would likely you have a part probably back on the ship that would very easily be able to integrate into this little device.
I'd like to do a thing.
Please go for it.
I have the part within my.
Oh, that's good. Yes, you have a part. Your hand won't work quite as right until you replace it. But yes, you can totally take something out of your arm and use it to fix it. I love that. Let's go.
He says, he looks at it. I believe if I were to reactuate the backup ionic imaging chamber within it, I could bring it back to full functionality. Would you like me to attempt it? I have the parts that I would need with me.
This particular alien is obviously very different from all the other ones you've interacted with. You've interacted with them, the 2 guards, and a couple of other ones as you've been traveling. They're all very serious, very stoic, really. And this one is not. They seem to break character more often, right? They get giddy, bouncy on their feet. Would you? Could you? Could I watch? Could I learn from you as well? That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Yes, if you could, please.
Indeed, absolutely.
What do you need? What can I help? Should I step back? Should I help or be? What should I do?
If you would just stand there, and he pulls out like a little flashlight and says, "If you could just shine this upon the access panel here."
Lightning quickness grab, click the light, shine, and lean in just with this excited, almost shaking in place excitement.
He doesn't need the flashlight.
It's okay. That's fine. They are happy.
Yeah.
And this is such an easy fix. Literally take a part out, put it back in. That unless you want to flavor it some more, it's up to you.
He's gonna open up the hatch, and it's just what he was looking for, and he pulls out the faulty chip, and he says, "This is the ionic imaging chamber. It was creating a feedback loop into the macroscopic phased controller. All that needs to be done," and he reaches out, he opens up his arm and or his hand, and like the access panel in his hand just kind of flips open.
Yeah.
I have in my chassis here, and he reaches in and pulls out a part. This chip here will allow us to reactuate the chamber when we combine it with the phase controller. And he kind of pieces the parts together, and it's, you know, real rough, but he places it within, clicks it closed, closes back up his hand that's now kind of just
Twitching.
Yeah, just like a little trimmers.
Instantaneously, the little plant, you see it like come to life, and then there's a little like it's a little Venus flytrap, and it's making noises. It's like alive and it's excited.
The plant from Little Shop
Like
of
the
Horrors.
plant from Little Shop of Horrors. Like, hey, how you doing? No, I'm just kidding.
Burn it.
Yeah.
Audrey.
And then it starts
too.
to grow and it erupts and it starts to consume everything inside. And
Yes.
you've destroyed the planet. This is your fault.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding.
Executive producer Gene Roddenberry.
Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. No, but this alien that you're with, bouncing on their heels, is incredibly excited about everything that's going on here. And I think we're just going to leave that moment there for the time being. We're just going to leave that moment there as they are happy and watch the little plant creature come back to life. We will then cut back up to the conference room where we see the captain, Lieutenant Commander Stern, Lieutenant Phelan, and obviously Shaz sitting in the conference room with this distant cousin of Commander Stern. And they've been very curious, but there's a kind of a stoic curiosity. Not bouncy, not giggly, but very matter-of-fact questions, right? Very matter-of-fact questions. And we're going to pick up maybe as they've just started to ask about your mission. That's what they're asking about. They actually haven't been asking a whole lot about technology. It's been more philosophy, what your mission parameters are. I wanted to ask, Captain, if I may. You mentioned your mission, as it were, is to explore and to discover and to perhaps be curious about what is out there, correct?
Yes, very much.
Might I tell you a bit of the history of our planet?
Of course.
It was not always as you see it. Consumed and surrounded by a controlled but detrimental storm. It is both our savior and our destroyer. It was several 100 years ago that an alien race that we know only as the Terracrix, Traeurix, came to our planet. At first they were much like you. They seemed curious. There was my species, Yakal, and our sister species would arose with us, the Elamir. The Terraquix were masked invaders and quickly began to, once they had secured our trust, turn hostile. We have only bits and pieces of that history. We know only that there was a great war that took place on our planet. Millions, billions died in that conflict. And it was some of our greatest scientists that created the storm, as we call it. Storm to both protect and very few of our people survived. Very few of the Akal and none of the Elamir. We are incapable of reproducing naturally at this point. Simply create need to. But our ability to do so is quickly becoming untenable. And before long, our ability to do so will be impossible. Our planet is dying, and will be dead before very long. Before you ask if it can be saved, I assure you, it cannot. It is a doomed world. But there is perhaps a bit of hope I have for one of my people. Unlike myself and the others who are like me, this one is different. Curious, like you are. You can see that you can see, because she is human, you can read her very easily. There is this desire to ask a great favor of you, Captain. But there is a hesitation, be it fear, be it an unsuredness of what your answer will be, but there is a great ask that they wish to place upon you. But they're not going to say anything in this moment. They're going to leave the floor open to the rest of the crew here. As a game master, I'm going to do that. You guys to ask questions, poke, prod, dig in a little deeper, kind of figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, I think the captain's just going to gesture to everybody to, speak if they have something on their mind.
I think that Shash just sort of leans forward a little bit, gives the captain a bit of a side eye, given that they share a common species, and then looks back at the representative of this race and says, "My own race, and that of the captain, is facing the prospect of our own potential extinction, given the genetic disorder that plagues us. Birth rates have been declining steadily over the past centuries. My own existence is due to an experiment designed to modify our genetic coding to circumvent this seeming inevitability. If nothing else, then I empathize with you, the sterility of your people, and that impending oblivion. I can't make any promises, but I would be very much in favor of doing anything that we can to help you, if possible."
Thank you. Say. Simply says, thank you.
Commander Stern, Lieutenant Philan, any questions? Any concerns? Up to this point.
If we were able to get your people off of this planet, where do you want to go?
There is an uncharacteristic breathy laugh, like a huff with a ha. My people do not wish to leave, Commander Stern. This planet is our home, and all we have known for several hundred years is protecting it. Even though it is dying, there is a, suppose you could call it a sentiment. Sentimental value?
Sentiment only goes so far. You have a chance to live.
You're right, Commander Stern. We do have a chance to live. One of us has a chance. There is one among my people, the few of us that remain, one called Ardnal. They are a reminder to me of what we fought to protect, but failed to do so. They were created very recently. By your, I'm to understand it, by your standard Earth years, they are no more than 20 years old. Extremely young by my species. In fact, they were the last to be created, before we lost the capability to do so. I would ask that, if you can, you take them with you. Allow them to explore that curiosity of theirs. And in such a way, keep my people alive. They are smart, bright, hard worker, if not a bit impetuous times. Based on what I have seen aboard your ship, and if you are as you come, in full and in truth, I think they would make a fine addition to your crew, Captain.
Under these circumstances, I would consider this a request for asylum. And I would be morally bound and duty bound to accept. But tell me, is there nothing that we can do for you and the others of your race who are to remain?
Don't let them go out into this universe alone. Let us help you how we can.
It would be impossible for them to be whole without a community. And we're not sufficient for that without part of their own people.
There's a small smile on her face, Stern, that in this moment reminds you of the same kind of glint you might see in your mother's eye. It's a fond memory. This, I know you're asking for something and I can't do it, and I feel a little bad about it, but it's what's best for you. You have seen what my people can do. Our ability to adapt to our surroundings. Ardnal is young enough to not know better. They will adapt. They will become and find you a new family. One that is not doomed to destruction. They may not be as they were on our home, but they still will be. And that is more than enough. The rest of my people are stuck in their ways. They be given the opportunity, they would reject it. But as I said, Ardnal is different. I would give them this gift. Your arrival was unexpected, but serendipitous. I will not attempt to force them upon you, Captain, and I leave the decision to you, but the request remains.
Force? No. No. it would be no burden. One more would be no burden. It would be a great responsibility, and you would need to understand, they would need to understand that there is no coming back, ever. One day, if our mission is successful, we will return home. And once we do, this place will be beyond their reach forever.
Good. This place will soon be dead. A part of it will live on with them. I have no word for it. Those words have long been forgotten, but it gives me a sense of something good.
A legacy.
Perhaps.
If you want something of your people to live on in them, should you not also provide us with your historiographic databases, if you have anything of the sort?
They nod and very quickly add on. I will send with Cardinal everything that we know of the surrounding systems. We'll provide you with as much information as we can of species, places, who to trust and who not to. But in the end, understand that our opinions, our interpretations of others may be slightly skewed.
Nonetheless, those interpretations deserve to survive.
You will be provided with a full history, much as we have our culture, names, customs. It's safe for us.
When we return, it will be preserved as long as we exist. And we will leave you with records of our own. There have been many instances through all of our respective species' histories where we've all faced oblivion and extinction. And each of us in our way has overcome that, or delayed it. Perhaps it could inspire you to do the same. I'll also have Commander Flitz provide as much in the way of spare parts that you may need for your machinery. If it can be replicated, we will. And we'll ensure that you have as much as we can spare.
Help us delay the inevitable, Captain.
Perhaps you may find a way to save yourselves.
I think that we already have. In a way. I should return to the planet and inform Ardnal of what is to happen. I wish to thank you for your hospitality and graciousness. It is uncommon. This simply uncommon.
Before we leave your system, I will order a subspace beacon dropped into geosynchronous orbit around your facility. That will allow us to remain in communication range should Ardnal become homesick for a while.
Thank you, Captain.
And with Commander Stern's approval, I would like to request that you provide us with details of your reproductive technology. Perhaps we can help while we're still in communication range.
Exchange of ideas, you said when we first spoke, Captain.
Among other things.
The doppelganger of Stern looks over, seeing if she agrees to this. Well, I will work with you, Commander Stern, and perhaps we can find a solution. Well, I should get home. They would rise and their goodbyes and would actually walk over to Lieutenant Commander Stern, and seeing as we may be working together and over long distance, custom. They would offer the same gesture that they offered to the captain to Lieutenant Commander Stern as well.
Do they know that you have asked this of us?
Do not. They will shortly.
You can live with it?
Can live knowing that at least one of my people will live on. Thank you for being vulnerable and allowing me to be vulnerable as well. There would be a procession. Anyone else had it? Add and head back to the transporter and transport down. And Flitz, you have been on the planet with Ardral, ADRAL. And there is a bit of a I want to say kind of like a montage of the same alien you saw at first, now back into their alien form. They are speaking with Ardnal. There is a poem, and the best way to describe it is almost like a Vulcan sort of just matter-of-factness, the way that they describe what's going to happen. A very dissimilar and very passionate way, more, suppose, human. Ardnal begins to argue. You are my creator. You created me. You can't ask me to leave. And there was an explanation. There's a back and forth. And eventually, after much insisting, Ardnal agrees to accompany Commander Fitz back to Erebus. There are no tears from the dozen or so aliens that stand around the circular platform that you first arrived on. But there are tears from Ardral. Excuse me. And as the blue light encompasses you and you appear once more on the transporter bay, you watch as the alien falls to their knees. They brought the little plant with them. They're holding on to it. And they have a small pack with the record, a little backpack with the record player with them, well, that they brought. They quickly look up, and my question to the crew is, who was present when they arrived?
I would say all of us.
I'm going to roll a d4 again. And we're going to see what form they take, which will be very interesting.
Please be Klingon.
Come on.
1, 2, 3, 4. Lieutenant Commander Stern again. Because they can't turn into an android. Because that's not biological. So Lieutenant Commander Stern, I need you to roll me I'm going to roll a D100.
Okay.
All right. Do you want high to be female or high to be male?
I is female.
High is female? It's a lady. It's a lady. So not a carbon copy. This one, instead of having long, white, kind of blonde hair, has short, kind of blonde hair. Like what's a...
Like a bob?
Like a bob cut. Like a bob cut. They look early 20s. Very young. Very impressionable. And I'm going to need you to do me a favor before next session. I need you to go into that character creator. I need you to create a similar looking token for your brand new friend, whose name is Ardral. Adral. Your first alien crew member, who has also brought along with her now, I should say, which is funny how that worked out. I kept saying she, and she ended up a she. There you go. But they have brought along a bunch of information. And the way that this is going to work for you guys is over for your next 3 missions that you undertake. You've also discovered, I'm going to be adding to your list 1 additional point of interest on top of the ones you already have. Okay. You will have an advantage going into those missions that you'll be able to activate at any point during the mission. So if you have a check, you're like, hey, DerWolf, I want to activate our mission. So for the next 3 that you do, at any point during the mission, you can be like, hey, I want to activate the information that we got from the call. I want to activate that there and give us a free advantage. So no momentum spend or anything, just a free advantage. Does that make sense? Does that sound fair? So we're willing to do that mechanically?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So they are on the platform. They have transformed, slowly rise, holding onto their little plant, looking down at it, looking to Flitz for support. Say very quietly, very sheepishly, hello, my name is Ardral. I've been told I am to travel with you, that this is my home.
Lieutenant Phelan will step forward and offer a handshake. Welcome aboard.
Unsure handshake and does so. Thank you. Is this where I am to stay? It's very shiny.
Farron will also step forward when she saw the form that she took.
I rolled a 4 again. I'm just saying, the dice have a story to tell. It's hilarious.
And she's not a touchy person. I will just make that clear before. She'll put a hand on her shoulder.
Okay.
Guten Tag, meine Schwester.
Thank you, I think.
We would like you to feel that this is your home now, and we are your family. We shall, I believe I speak for the entire crew of this ship, we will do what we can to make you as welcome and as comfortable as we possibly can.
In the meantime, we will continue working on your homeworld's difficulties, and we will find a way.
I hope that you can. Hope that you can. And I think we'll watch as Ardal is maybe escorted to. Do you have like an extra room you want to give her?
I'd say just like a standard crew quarters, like a standard single.
Let her get set up. We see her do that, and
probably near one of us.
Yeah,
someone they know. Either me or Stern.
think that would make sense. Either of you have a preference? Anybody have a preference?
What if
She likes Flitz, but I mean Stern is her.
Oh, well then
Svester,
if she
so-
likes her,
yeah,
her.
but I mean Stern
She
is
likes
fine too.
Flitz
Either
too.
way,
But if you guys are senior staff, we all live on the same deck.
yeah,
Mm.
probably wouldn't be right next to that. Just one of the standard crew quarters. You know, there's probably an extra one. You know, shuffle some people around, get some grumbles, but it's fine. But I'd like to open it up. They are getting settled in, as it were. To open it up, what do you guys like? What happens after this? Where do you guys go? Who talks to each other? What are the feelings that we're getting from everybody about what's just transpired? I'd like you, whoever wants to talk to whoever, I'd like to have it, even if it's an NPC, Captain, if you want to talk to the first officer, but I'd love to have sort of a discussion about what's just transpired, maybe even a senior staff meeting. It's up to you, though, how you want to handle it.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Drew. No,
I feel like at the very least, like the first thing we'd do is have a debriefing between Flitz and the captain.
So
Love
I
that.
think he would want everybody there too,
Perfect.
because it's relevant to everybody.
I'd like it just to be you guys, first officer still on the bridge, handling first officer stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like you guys to take this scene wherever you want it to take place. Could be on the observation deck, could be a conference room. Set the scene and take it away.
I think, yeah, just the observation deck probably again. Maybe
You can
as
still see the planet.
as we're pulling away from the planet at
Yes.
impulse, and so we're just, as the scene goes on, it's just getting progressively smaller.
Correct.
And yeah, the captain's just going to look to everybody and say, this is one of those times where the right thing is the hard thing. But with the subspace buoy deployed, we can maintain contact for months. To that end, Dr. Thane, I would like you to select a cadre of science personnel, both Daystrom Institute and Starfleet. You have your pick. I want a full environmental assessment of our available sensor data and any recommendations you can give me on forestalling, halting, and in my wildest dreams, reversing what is happening to that planet.
Given what we've seen of the instability of the atmosphere, I'm not certain that even if we had 10 years, we'd be able to find an adequate solution. I might also suggest assigning some of our cultural studies personnel to investigating their history. Perhaps they may yet be persuaded to abandon their doomed planet.
Then I would like you to head up that as well.
If it weren't for the Prime Directive, I would suggest that we simply take them and then deposit them somewhere else, but...
Seconded.
I understand, but forced relocations throughout any history where they've been present have never been good.
I think they deserve the dignity of their choice. Who are we to decide for them what their society should do?
Well, we're the ones with the power to actually save them.
And if they don't want to be saved, it's to us to decide.
I have no problem with that on a moral level, sir.
A Federation president during an ecological disaster centuries ago once said, we must redefine the meaning of progress to mean that simply because we have the means to do a thing does not follow that we must do that thing or should do that thing.
If we have the means to save lives, Captain, I think that we should always deploy them.
I understand, but in this case, I'm afraid
the choice
I must.
Isn't mine. Yes.
To that end, Commander Flitz, I would like you with the access that you've had to their technology, to see if you can find a means to improve its efficiency so that it's not as harmful. Again, it will not reverse what they've done, but it may buy them some time as Commander Stern works on a way to save a species.
If Commander Stern's efforts are not successful, would we not be prolonging their suffering?
We will not force them to implement any recommendations that we have, but we will give them the choice.
They're already suffering. What we're doing is offering some hope.
Just said the magic word. You guys get 2 free momentum. Hope is the word I was hoping for. Hope. You just said the magic word. 2 free momentum for next session. Don't forget. Somebody write it down. 2 free momentum. That was the word. Hope. They don't have a word for it because they haven't had it in 200 years. You said the word. He said the word. Yeah, it's great. Good job. There it is. I didn't want to say it. I kept like resisting the urge to say it. I was like, I want them to say it. And you just did. 2 free momentum. Good job. Sorry, I didn't mean to break the scene. I was just like, yes, finally.
And I think at that, the captain will just lean back and ask for, any other opinions, recommendations.
I feel that we are doing the right thing. And I agree that it may not be the easy thing. But these are people who have forgotten what it is to hope. And hope cannot be forced, from what I have seen.
I will still do what I can, Captain. In whatever capacity.
As will we all.
We can do no less for them.
There is the matter, of course, of our new crew member and what hope she can possibly have, given that her entire species has been, or will in the near future, be wiped out, and she will be the last of her kind.
Well, if we are able to replicate their reproductive technology, that may only be the case temporarily.
And in the meantime, we will welcome her among us.
Has she expressed which department she would like to start learning under?
Well, I was thinking, now that she's had some time, we would call her up here to... He looks out the window at the planet that's now beginning to shrink. Say goodbye. And move forward. And I think, in particular, Flitz, Schass, Stern. She will need you 3 more than she'll need the lieutenant or myself.
Again,
I know you intended no insult by that, but
Go ahead, Lieutenant.
to welcome a new member aboard the Federation, aboard the Erebus and into the Federation, effectively. Given that I was once considered a threat, given that I was once the hated enemy of Starfleet, I believe I may have some insight into her experience. And given my own, shall we say, overabundance of caution, may be able to provide her with the skills necessary to survive in what may be a dangerous environment.
I believe that sounds like an excellent idea. I'll trust the four of you with this precious cargo. And my door, of course, will always be open to her. But for the meantime, and he'll tap his comm badge and just get her up there.
He'll arrive a little while later. I'm going to present 2 opportunities to the crew. Would you like to leave the conversation that transpires? Would you like to leave it on a cliffhanger, and then we can delve into it deeper later? Would you like to, I don't care either way. Or would you like to have that conversation? I think both can be impactful. Because our final scene could be just her walking in, you guys standing with her as we watch the planet get lower. We could delve into it. Entirely up to you guys.
I mean, I guess it depends on how people are doing for time. I mean, I'm fine. It's Friday.
I'm fine either way.
And
I'm good.
Also, if we've got, I feel like everybody's kind of emotionally keyed into it right now.
Yeah.
And it might be hard to come back to that.
Let's do it.
The 2 of us will be out next session, so
Yeah. I just want to say, like, I'm good. If you guys want to keep going, I got no time constraints.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having a riot with this. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm good.
So let's roll with
go.
it. So we cut to a scene. He's come in. The captain has left. Gone back to the bridge. First officer's been on the bridge for a while, so he has to be relieved to go and like get some food. He's like, man, I literally had to make 2 coffees. All right, I get it now. But anyway, I'm gonna go get some food. He's gonna leave, and it's the 4 of you, and she's there, and she has a small. There's like a small little like circular coin type thing. She's explained that it's a little data packet, has a bunch of information on it. It's from home. It has like her whole people's history on it. A little flash drive. She has this, and she's holding on to it and just kind of holding it up to her chest. I've never been off home. Looks so small and green. It's different seeing the storm from the planet. How far away from it are we? X number of LCO.
35 astronomical units away from the planet at this point.
And she starts to tear up a little bit, a little emotional. You can see her hand is clenching onto that data chip. Her knuckles are turning white very tightly, and there is a tremor that runs through her. It's precursor to tears. It's just emotional overload. She watches the planet grow smaller and smaller and smaller, flanked, surrounded, phasers in hand by Phalin, shoved into her back, just in case she betrays them.
Well, at this point,
Okay.
I've given the stand down order.
I could
Well-
see the tension. I need to break it just slightly for you guys. No, I'm just kidding. No, she's holding on to it. And she's holding on to it, and she says, "You all chose to leave home, did you not? To come here to this galaxy, untold distance away. Why did you do it?"
It was asked of me. And it sounded like a interesting assignment. A place to go and learn things that no one from where we are from knows.
My people believe that we are all of us incomplete. That's why we have Sheldonraths, what you would consider families. We have clans. We have civilizations, societies, the Federation. We're all searching for the missing parts of ourselves. And part of that is knowledge. Learning everything that we can to fill in those empty places inside of ourselves.
Then we'll kind of offer her hand to the side. No pressure. If she wants to take it or not.
She does. Almost this weird, kind of instinctual kind of thing. She takes it, and she herself doesn't even seem to realize why she does.
I left because I had no other choice. I would have died. Starfleet gave me hope.
Looks to you, Stern, at the mention of hope. What does that mean? Hope.
It means being able to look forward to tomorrow. It means there is always a brighter star in the galaxy, and every day you look for it and know that one day you will find it.
I have never seen so many stars.
Start with fun, and we'll go from there.
And as the planet gets smaller and smaller, you actually see her eyes, her hand gently holding on to yours, and it's a tight, snug sort of hold, but it's not like crushing. You're giving her hope, security, a little bit of stability.
Can I add a little something here, Wolf?
Please, of course.
The planet becomes a dot, and then all of a sudden there's the stars elongate as the ship enters warp.
I love that. Yes, that happens. That happens. But as she is holding Stern's hand, she looks over to Lieutenant Phelan. And what of you, Lieutenant?
My people were an age-old enemy of Starfleet. We did not share the same values as the Federation. Our way is defined by honor and glory, of committing great deeds and facing death without fear. I found other things beyond conquest and conflict. I found connections. I found love. And I found those a far greater source of motivation than any external glories. I joined the Federation and came along this journey to prove to myself that I could bring honor in a way beyond a force of arms, that I could protect those whom mean a great deal to me. If you are to be with us, then you will be under my protection.
You think? Kind of bites her lower lip for a moment in a very human display. You think it's possible that I could find those things too? Love? Family? Honor?
If it was possible for the likes of me, I do not see why it would not be possible for you.
A slow but growing smile appears on her face.
I
Thank you.
believe a first point of order in counting you among us. I will show you the form on how to properly boil a turkey.
What is a turkey?
You will soon learn.
He seems excited about that, this opportunity to learn, this twinkle in her eye of curiosity, but all at once she starts to look very tired. Looks down to her hand clasped in Lieutenant Commander Stern's hand, and she looks back up to her, meeting your eyes. I'm feeling tired. Do you think perhaps you could take me to my room, take me home?
It would be my pleasure.
And I think that great moment for us to watch as the 5 of them exit out of the conference room, and Lieutenant Commander Stern leads her new Schwester, Herbalift, and our final scene is the 2 of them, very similar looking, almost twins. Door closes to the turbolift. Scene fades back. We see different members of the crew going about their days. Roll credits. Absolutely fantastic job, everybody. Really good job. That was... I got a little teary-eyed there for a second. That was really good. You guys did great. You guys have fun?
Yeah.
Like that one? All right.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
good
This
episode.
is fantastic.
Yep.
Mhm.
I gotta give kudos and props to all you guys. You have blown past any expectations I had. I knew it was gonna be fun. This has been like been hitting me in the heart.
Wow.
Good. Been really good, guys. So, as I always say at the end of every session, any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns from the players before we wrap up episode 3 of our Star Trek Adventures series? Beautiful. So something that I'm going to be adding to our game are long-running or long-standing plot arcs. So this is something that you guys inspired in me today, where you said, hey, can we potentially try to help them? Yes. It's not going to be a final thing. Anytime you guys want to dedicate, let me know. And I will allow you guys to communicate with them, to make checks. We can do some extended tasks and see if you're able to save them. It is not decided whether or not they will die. They think they will, but you have an opportunity to save them. You may even discover things as you go along that could help you in saving them. Now, there is a timeline that I'm going to leave intentionally vague, where their planet will be consumed. But perhaps as you travel on, perhaps you'll find something that could be beneficial. And I want to say that thank you for inspiring that, because I think that's another thing that's going to make this into more of a living world that you guys are exploring and discovering. And so I've added a new Discord channel for us, simply entitled Ongoing Stories. And as things come up that seem interesting that you guys want to add to it, or I want to add to it, we will. And then let's just not forget about those. So this is going to expand and become like a spider web of adventures that you guys will be able to explore. And I had a great time tonight. Really good job, everybody. I genuinely had a nice time, so thank you. But as I always say at the end of every session, thank you so much to the players for playing. Without you 5 amazing fuckers, I wouldn't be able to tell these stories. So I want to say thank you so much. You've been doing an absolute great job. Thank you to the viewers for viewing. I appreciate you guys for hanging out, watching, interacting. Thank you so much for Symbol for doing the clip. Thank you for Drillian for reminding us that they get 2 free momentum for being absolute badasses. Happy gaming, everybody. You'll see these beautiful people back here in 2 weeks. We're actually going to have 2 guest stars in 2 weeks. We're going to have 2 guest stars. I'm going to be inviting 2 of my good friends, Brian, who is Bri the server mod guy, and a good friend of ours, Mimi, who was in Star Trek Valhalla. They will be playing a pair of aliens that you guys will have an opportunity to interact with. This is actually going to be one of the sessions where I'm going to take the reins and kind of tell you what happens. All right, so you won't have to pick anything next session. I'm going to be taking it over. The week after that, 2 weeks after that, Matthew is going to be out, and we're going to be doing a holodeck episode, which is going to be super fun. And we've got a bit of a kind of a jokey, gimmicky thing we're going to do a little bit, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just want to say thank you guys for inspiring it. So our next 2 episodes are going to be a little more directed, and then we're going to go back to this sort of exploration thing we've been doing. And that's to give a couple of our players an opportunity to bounce out and do what they got to do. And then also one of our players, C4A, had a really fun idea for a holodeck episode that we're going to run with. And it might crash and burn, or it might be awesome. Who knows? But we'll have some fun with it. But
That's going to be awesome.
Be well, be safe, happy gaming. And as I always say, the dice have a story to tell, and we find out every week what they have to say. And this week it was apparently you've got a Sylvester. So there you go. But good night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Cheers.